Hello everybody. I am now live. Let's take a look and send a little shout out to everyone. Um, hello, hello, and happy Wednesday. And hopefully I spelled that correctly. All right. All right. So I am here trying to go live everywhere. I should be live. And it looks like I finally figured out this techie thing I've been working on. It seems like for years. Okay, perfect. So it is there. So I this is just an introductory. I've been talking all day, so I apologize. Uh, for what is to come, and I'm trying to check and make sure if you have any questions about um, organizing for the summer for your senior living community. Um, then this is the time to do that. You can also submit any questions for me because I can answer that on the next live. So I am getting ready to do a series, just waiting for some people to see, make sure I'm not leaving anyone out, because I just put it in the group that we are live. And let me make sure that the group knows. Sorry about that, you guys. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So I did put that out there for you guys. All right. So what we're going to talk about is the summer. We call it sometimes the summer slump, where everybody is really busy because it is vacation time, kids are at home, sometimes visiting grandma, and it's a point in time where there are sometimes a struggle to get referrals, and depending on where you live in the country, um, it can be a big struggle. Let me see here. There we go. All right. There we go. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. So, what I'm going to do is there we go. Is talk about that struggle. And I'm sorry I have all these different areas coming up here because I'm trying to make sure I don't leave anyone out if you guys are on. So I'm trying to make sure I'm attentive to you. Um, it's been a while since I've done this, so oh, there we go. Okay, let me make sure that's down. There we go. So it's not giving feedback. Alrighty. Okay, so I have that there. So one of the things we talked about, or I mentioned, if you saw my live the other day in the video that I sent out, was how do you manage your business during the summer when it comes to, um, operating your senior living community? Because let's face it, sometimes people don't understand that you have to make money in order to care for residents. And so when you are down in occupancy, oh, you know what? I spelled happy wrong. Look at that. I can't. I can't with myself sometimes. Just know there's an extra P in happy. So, um, let me cancel that. Somebody's trying to call me. I need to do that. I don't know if I can edit this afterwards, but I do see I spelled happy wrong here. Look at that. All right. The things that you're learning when you're managing all this stuff. So, anyway, we're talking about the summer slump and what that means for you. So, one of the things that you have to prepare for as you're going into this time is to really understand what are the concerns of families um, during the summer. What are some of the things that are happening to aging adults during the summer? And again, where you are in the country matters. So, summertime is where heat waves happen. And that could be a real concern for aging adults who are left at home and don't have support or lives far away from their loved ones. So some ways and some strategies is to reach out to, believe it or not, EMTs, reach out to senior centers, reach out to uh, believe it or not, rehab, because if someone has had an incident, went to the hospital, and now is in rehab, that will be something that is of concern, even if it's for a short period of time. And that is actually another way of getting residents short term. And to help you through this time is when families go away on vacation and they want to have a safe, secure environment for their loved one. Maybe mom lives with them and they're the main caregiver. Offering what they call in the industry as a respite program is something that you can do to help um, families to vacation with peace of mind, right? There was a lady I used to have who used to come to us every time her son in law had to travel because he was married obviously to her daughter and her daughter passed. So he continued caregiving for his mother in law, which was very admirable, and he didn't leave her dry. He cared for her all the way through. And so having a place that he could always go to and know that she would have a good time, that she would be well cared for, was important. And that is one strategy for the summertime that could really help you to move things ahead, and help you with the slowness of your business. And that strategy can actually last throughout the whole year, but we're specific for the summer. Another thing that you could do is looking at areas where there's a high risk of environmental dangers. Um, Having a relationship with families during that time, or before that time rather, is important, because once the crisis hit and the is coming, whether it's a hurricane, whether it's fire, you want to have a plan in place. And so you being a part of that plan for families is a really great way of solidifying that relationship for the summer. I'm sorry, I'm looking for my. I thought I had water here, but um, solidifying that relationship for the summer, as well as getting you prepared for the holidays. Anytime you can do anything that is going to help your relationship with families and build that trust. So if they stay with you short term and you do a great job and their loved one is happy and enjoyed themselves, then that can happen again during the holidays. Then that can happen again, if they're going away, or that can happen again later in the year. So that when the time comes and the crunch happens, that something may happen that they may need that help long term, they know who to go to. And that is super important when you are working with families and aging adults. And a lot of times, what I'm finding is that people don't really understand what senior living is and how it can be a help for family. I love something that somebody said online is that she went through her caregiving journey and talked about how her mom lived with her. And once it became apparent that there was danger either to herself or her loved ones, because she had an infant child, she had to make the very tough decision of making a caregiving plan for her mom that would involve a third party. And I like to phrase it that way because there is this misnomer that if you make a plan for your loved one to move into a senior living community, that it is somehow neglecting the aging adult. That is somehow meaning that you don't have love for them, or that you're a bad child. And that is no further from the truth of the matter. When someone moves into a senior living community, that is actually a show of love, especially if you, as the main caregiver, is not able to care for them in the way that they're needing for them to continue to thrive, or in a way that is safe for you and for your household. So you might say, well, what does that mean that that's safe for you and your household? If someone has cognitive challenges, that could look like lighting candles and not blowing them out while you're not home. um, for this particular woman, it was like noticing that the baby was leaning out um, of the swing and not knowing to go and catch the baby. Or it could mean leaving the doors unlocked. For the safety of the actual aging adult, it could mean knowing how to unlock the doors, but in their confusion in the middle of the night, they go out and start looking for where they used to live. There's so many different scenarios that can happen. And even if there is no cognitive challenges, there are alarms that can happen in an aging adult's life, meaning this true story happened to me, or to someone that I had to help. Was there was an aging adult with very low mobility but wanted to stay in her home. The daughter did not live with her, and she fought to stay there, and the daughter wanted to keep her mom independent, which was great and fine. But because of her limited mobility, I mean, she could move, she could walk, but she was very slow. She needed, the walker. I mean, it was a process for her. And she was home, so it was comfortable, and she was, she could get to the kitchen and things like that, but she couldn't move quickly. Well, lo and behold, lightning struck the house and caught the house on fire. She couldn't get out. But it was a neighbor who happened to be at home, who saw the lightning, who saw the fire, knew, because they're a neighbor, that she's an older woman, and was able to get her out. So, and call the fire department. So while the fire department was able to put out the fire and things like that, it was the house was, destroyed, to a great extent. And had she been still in that house, she may have not been able to make it because of the smoke and the fire and everything like that. So I like to say that we have to work on not shaming people for making a caregiving plan that is right for them and their family, and that we need to, um, when we're providing solutions, we're providing strategies for them to go along their journey, because no one wakes up one day and like, oh, I'm going to move my mom into a senior living community. This is something that happens and evolves over time. So if you position yourself during times like this when you're slow, to be an answer for families, and provide solutions even for the short term. We call that respite stay, is what is in the industry, but I call it short term solutions. Then that is one way or one strategy for you to really grow your business. The other thing is remembering national days and national months, and understanding what the theme is for the month. August is a little bit of a slow one. I can't remember all of what July is, but this is a good time to have your social media campaigns, your outreach that is geared towards that national day or national month that is happening, because it can give you more exposure. And there are ways to do that. Another thing is it's also a way to connect you with referral or referrers, people who will refer business to you. So again, that is something that is really a lead in, let's say, like a foot in the door. The other thing is, people ask me all the time, what about placement agencies and how do they fit into all of this? While placement agencies are a partner with you and should be seen as that, a partner, what you are in essence doing that you need to really remember and keep in mind is that you are outsourcing your marketing. So if you look at a placement agency as I am outsourcing my marketing, and hiring someone to do that at a rate of, you know, 80, 90, 100% of my first month's rent. So if you have someone then that you have contracted with, and you're allowing them to do your marketing, and they bring you three new residents. Yes, you have three new residents. That is wonderful, and it works. But also understand that if your contract is 100% and your rate is 4,000 a month, that you just paid $12,000 for outsourcing your marketing. So then you have to sit down and say, for $12,000, could I have done something else and on my own for maybe $8,000 or $6,000 and still got the same results? And that is something that only you could answer. And the sometimes the rush is to work with an a third party, and that is great. But also understand that is what you're doing. And so long as there's an understanding of what you're doing and the why of why you're doing it, then it's no problem. If you're saying, yeah, I need to have residents real fast right now, I'm going to outsource all of my marketing while I create a strategy to have something more long term and more sustainable. And that is the key to doing that. The key is not to always keep it, but to maybe when you're at a startup, you might want to do that, or vice versa. Maybe you don't want to do it when you first start up because you've done so much marketing and put so much money in the front end that you don't need that right away, and you want to wait until the back end. It's all about strategy, and so you want to take a look at what that looks like for your business, so that you can look at how your finances go, because you can, hey Alan, how are you doing? So that you can work on what is going to help you to stay financially profitable. Because listen, if you're not making money and you are not having residents, which means you don't have revenue, and you're spending because you have, let's say, low residents, so you're spending on staff and things like that, then you can't sustain yourself. And I have seen this where whole communities have, they're not able to staff what they have because they're not making enough money. They don't have the full occupancy, or they didn't charge the right amount to help them with managing their business. And then the state shuts them down. And I've seen it in Georgia, I've seen it in Florida, I've seen it in Texas, I've seen it in California. So you staying profitable is a part of what we have to do, because staying profitable means caring for our residents, if that makes sense. Does that make sense, Alan? I think, Alan, you're also a consultant, am I correct? I think so. You should be able to, yeah, this is right. So the whole idea is that when you are doing strategies for the summer, is to think of all the different ways, right? So we talked about national days. We talked about respite or short-term stay, especially in high-risk areas of environmental factors like hurricanes and wildfires and heat waves. All of those things are ways of helping you during what can be coined in some areas as a summer slump. The other thing too that I also have thought about is referral sources. A lot of people are on vacation in the hospitals, in skilled nursing. What I find, and what I used to tell my team, is that sometimes it's better to be a big fish in a small pond than a small fish in a big pond. So who's going to the hospitals? Who's going to skilled nursing? It's residential, it's home health, it's hospice, it's the big corporate senior living communities. I mean, in corporate, you have to go and see them every single week, sometimes, multiple times a month. I'll just tell you, our metrics in corporate is intense, and they're managed very micromanaged. Let me put it that way. They're very much managed. So if you're supposed to see 25 refer sources in a week, that means that one community that's in your area is stopping by 25. So that you think that's 100. That's 100 in a month. So that's just one. So if you have 10, then they're all going to the same places. So how do you make yourself different? You make yourself different by going to the places that they are not. So, where does a lot of senior living owners, operators, salespeople do not go to? And that is to places like senior centers. That is places like, believe it or not, I've always said this, and I will go on a hill, die on a hill with this one, is um, hairstylists. Older people like to get their hair and their nails done. And those hairstylists know who's older, who's caregiving, who is needing, who's coming in their chair and is the main caregiver and talking about their mom or their dad or their aunt or their uncle. They are an amazing source of referrers that a lot of people don't know about. Believe it or not, veterinarians, because they see a lot of older people who have dogs and cats. Like I said, you can be real estate agents. Amazing. That's an amazing partnership with real estate agents. If you have not partnered with one yet, you should, because they can help you not only on the front end, but they can help you on the back end when somebody needs to sell their house in order to pay for your community. So there's some really creative ways that you can work with them. So being a big fish in those ponds, meaning that you're marketing to all the realtors in your market and talking to them about how that partnership can work. If you're going to the veterinarians and talking about, when somebody is overfeeding their cat or when this is happening, like all these different things that can happen, you can really make an impact and get referrers in places that you didn't even know existed. So this is all I have for today. If you guys, no, let me do one more. I have one more strategy for you. And I call this in-house or past resident referrals, meaning this is that you have staff, you have families, you have prior families that have lived with you and who are happy. If you have and been in business for a while and you have a list of people who have lived with you and was super happy, and now for whatever reason their loved one isn't with you, maybe because they passed along, maybe because they had a higher need at that time, and your community was no longer the appropriate place for them. Um, Providing they were happy, providing that you did an outstanding job, you can always reach back out to them and ask them who do they know. You can actually have a event at your community, a dinner or things like that, that would be very much an appreciation dinner or something that you can do to help spur referrals during a dry season. The other thing too is thinking about current caregivers. This is something I did with a community, and we had a caregiver. I'm trying to think, what did I name it? But what it was, I'm trying to think what I named it. I can't remember, because catchy names is always something. But basically, what we did was take the day off as a caregiver. Because remember, what we're doing is we're helping people who are caregivers at home. And when it comes time when they say, you know what, we need extra help, we need a third party to come and help us with this. When we have something like that, um, um, and we're able to support them on the front end, when the need comes on the back end, they look to us. And so one of the things that we did was we had food, like let's say lasagna or something like that. We had an Italian dinner that caregivers could take the day off, because they can come up and pick a free dinner up, and that we would prepare in the commercial kitchen in the community, and they could take it home for them and their loved one after work. And so it was like a drive-by pickup type of thing that we did, and we had it really nicely done. It wasn't just like, here's a plate. There was a brochure that was in there. There was information. If we knew something about the family, we had something that was very specific to that family because they would RSVP. And We would talk about our respite program. We would talk about our day stay program, which is another way of getting some business in, where you, depending on your state and state regs, are you able to handle someone just for the day until you can get full? There are so many strategies that you can use. And if you found any of these strategies or you know, nuggets helpful, then don't forget to listen to the Start with Occupancy podcast, or you can join the Assisted Living and Marketing Facebook group. It is there to help you with these type of strategies and more, and be a help to you. So subscribe to the podcast, and I will, I'm constantly bringing forth different information and ideas that way. And inside the group, I have just relaunched to really bring things like this into our group. And so that's a benefit of being in the group. The only thing I ask is that you fill out the questionnaire in the beginning of the group, so that I can make sure that the group admin, like, you have read the group rules, because this isn't just a group to market to each other. That's not what I'm doing. It is really a group that's going to be there for you, to educate you and to help you grow your business. So with that being said, 30 minutes of ideas, strategies, that's been here. I hope it was helpful. Let me know if you have any other questions. Do not hesitate to either leave them in the comments below, or you can DM me on Instagram or on Facebook, or just leave a comment at the bottom of the YouTube, right here in the bottom of YouTube. so you're able to do that. Thank you again. Thank you again for allowing me this time as I'm going forward. On YouTube, we will have different series. So this was just an opener, but I will be revealing all the series titles because I have them. And again, it's an effort to help you become more aware of not only just the senior living industry, the need for more people to really serve our aging adults with care and compassion and integrity and transparency with families, but then also helping you look at career opportunities in this field as well. A lot of people are losing their jobs and they don't realize that there is a huge need for people in this field, on the whether it's building maintenance, whether it is executive director, whether it's in sales, whether it's activities director. It's a huge opportunity because the demographics tell us, and what's happening is that there's more people needing this type of care. So with all of that being said, I thank you again, and hopefully I can be a resource to you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day and a great week, and see you next week, Wednesdays at 6 o'clock.